This is One on One. The public television family is honored to welcome with us Colonel Tom Hiebert, retired Colonel, the Senior Director of Veterans Initiatives at ADP. Good to see you, Colonel.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You were just telling me before we got on the air, you call yourself a quote-unquote Army brat. Define that.
So the military's always defined Army brats as the children of serving active duty military. And so I grew up all over the world. My father served in the Army for 33 years. I grew up in Germany, Japan, Korea. All 5 of my brothers and sisters served in the military. I married a gal in the Army, and all 3 of her brothers also served in the Army. So I truly am a military brat, raising military brats.
Thank you and your family for your great service to our country. ADP, this connection to helping veterans. What is it? You've been there for 14 months at ADP.
I have.
What exactly are you trying to accomplish? And I'll complicate it by asking this. What are the challenges that veterans are facing as they come home in terms of finding employment?
Well, the big challenge is veterans being able to translate their skills. And in many cases, employers all over the country aren't really familiar with what those skills are. So at ADP, we really believe that veterans possess incredible integrity, an innovative spirit. They're initiative driven, they're resilient, and they have this commitment to service that we believe at ADP really fits in well. But in addition to those intangible skills, they also have spent their time in the military being trained in leadership and management and all sorts of other tangible, hard skills that we believe at ADP we can take advantage of.
So what's the mismatch? I said to you before we got on the air that my sense is that there may be a mismatch between what vets bring to the table as potential employees, as leaders in the workplace, and what some potential employers think they bring to the workplace. There is a mismatch.
There is.
In some cases.
Yes. Yeah, so I think a lot of it is a perception. A lot of it is a stereotype of what people who are unfamiliar with what veterans do while they're serving, those skills they possess. And so at ADP, we spend a lot of time talking to our hiring managers about how the skills that veterans possess translate to roles at ADP. And I think we've been very successful so far.
Break it down. Give us, success is defined in different ways. Give us some concrete examples of that success.
Yeah, so the year before I got here to now, we hired about 4 times as many veterans this past year relative to the year before. We're looking to double that this year. We want to hire hundreds of veterans to ADP this year, something we weren't doing 15, 16 months ago.
The other thing that's so interesting to me, as a student of leadership, I'm struck by the concept of team. I mean, this production, they're wonderful people behind the scenes, great camera people here, a group of people in the control room that is usually pretty much under control. There's a tremendous team behind this production. It's a team.
Absolutely.
It's not an individual. Connect that to those who serve.
Yeah, so one of the things that I also tell leaders at ADP that veterans bring to our company is this idea of team. Veterans, active duty service members are very, very comfortable with serving as members of teams, leading teams through some incredibly difficult challenges. And so that teamwork translated into what we do for our clients at ADP is huge. And I absolutely agree that is a huge component of what veterans can bring to a company.
Talk a little bit, Colonel, about veterans post 9/11.
So post 9/11, the VA.
Are they different? Is it different?
I think it's a lot different.
How?
And it's different in the sense, I was speaking to somebody about this the other day, that I think my father was a Vietnam veteran, and I think the reception that Vietnam veterans got when they returned to this country in the mid-1970s, early mid-1970s, was not good. And so I think the outpouring of support that you see for veterans across the United States now is really being led by that group of Vietnam veterans in different parts of organizations across the country, both government and private, who wanted to make sure that this didn't happen again. And so there are lots and lots of resources out there available to veterans as they transition out of the military.
But talk about some of the vets post 9/11. What specific issues do you believe they face?
Well, I think moving out of the roles that they had in the military and translating their skills into roles in corporate America. I think that's the number one issue. Also, getting back to that idea of team, veterans are never very good at selling themselves.
Why is that?
Well, because their whole environment in the military has been focused on the team and not on themselves. And so when they get into interviews, and we talk about this at ADP all the time, they're not very good with selling themselves. So we are actually involved in a concerted effort around the country with our current veterans in ADP to help veterans as they transition with building their resumes, with preparing for interviews. And the flip side of that is we're also helping our managers to understand this issue of interviewing as well.
It's so interesting as you talk about that. You know, one of the books I wrote previously, because I'm not uncomfortable talking about, you know, self-promotion in a hopefully respectful way, the book I wrote is called You Are the Brand. And so I'm thinking about this in the context of what you're talking about. It's totally antithetical to that, which is you are the brand. So you go in for an interview, someone's going in who gave great service to this country, has tremendous skills, and someone asks them, what do you bring to the table? How would you be great for our company? And you're saying that many of these vets find that very uncomfortable to even talk about themselves.
Absolutely.
That they are a brand, they have a reputation that's valuable.
Right. Now,
and what do you do with that?
Well, again, I think it's about education, right? It's education on both levels, educating the veterans as they transition in our larger offices around the country that are co-located near military bases. We spend time with our own veteran associates helping these transitioning veterans out, but it's also a matter of educating our own managers.
And they have to be committed to it. Last question. Colonel, leadership. The number one leadership challenge that you have faced over your many years in the military and now at ADP, number one leadership challenge is?
Well, I think the challenge is teamwork, right? You're getting the team to come together to accomplish the mission, right? In the Army, we always used to say, mission first, soldiers always, right? The mission has to get done, but you're never going to get the mission accomplished if you don't take care of your people. And so one of the things I tell our hiring managers all the time is that this trust component that veterans bring to ADP, trust both in terms of trust that a leader can have in his subordinate, but also that subordinates have in their leaders. This is, to me, the primary focus of leadership is building trust, and veterans bring that to ADP in a big way.
Colonel, thank you for what you've done for our country. Thank you and your colleagues at ADP for what you're doing today for those vets who need all the help. There's a lot of rhetoric around this. Very little action, but you guys are behind it. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Colonel Tom Hiebert, Senior Director of Veterans Initiatives at ADP. Thanks, Colonel. All the best. Stay right there. We'll be right back from NJIT right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by NJIT, TD Bank, PSC&G, the New Jersey Education Association, Century 21 Construction, Verizon, and by the North Ward Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been produced in cooperation with FiOS One News.